Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. It is Wednesday morning, December December 2nd, 2020, and the COVID vaccine news continues to dominate trading activity. Now, whether you're a long-term trader, swing trader, or a day trader, it seems to be that there's something for everybody right now. Something to keep in mind. We're getting a ton of questions, and they're good questions about the COVID news, the bad news, and the horrible news about the amount of positive tests and unfortunately the amount of lives that we've lost because of it. That number is going up every single day and getting worse, actually. But then you have on the other side, there's the battle of the vaccines and the positive news on the vaccines. And I'm getting people asking me, well, if the numbers keep going up higher and higher, but the vaccines aren't ready yet, why does the stock market make new all-time highs? Why is the stock market going higher each day and each week? Why did November it go up higher? Well, November went up higher for two reasons. Number one is the clarity that we are apparently getting on the presidential election, a month later, almost a month to the day. So that indecision has been taken out of the market. And the stock market is a discounting mechanism where you are not trading today, you're not trading yesterday, you are trading 6 months into the future. It represents the economy 6 months into the future. It's not today. So it's discounting the bad news today in exchange for the vaccine and the vaccine headlines projecting out where we're going to be. So that takes us into discussing and really making this kind of into a trading lesson as well as best stock picks, trading the headlines of COVID stocks. It's kind of like trading earnings, but on steroids times 10. The problem though, and I want to say problem in a risk manager hat. So putting on my hat as if I was managing my trading office in New York City, it's very important that you respect the downside. The upside is exciting, but if you're going to carry overnights, you need to know, are you carrying it for the next 5 days because of the headline or because of whatever, you happen to be making that decision? You're holding it for the next month or you're holding it for the next year. Big difference, very big difference, because that's going to affect your trade management. You shouldn't be logging in and looking at a 5-minute chart of what the stock is doing if you plan on holding it for the next 6 months to a year. That's nothing. It's a blip. It's nothing in the context of what time frame you're holding it. However, if you do what I do, which is I'm trading for monthly cash flow, if I want to see my account go up and up and up every single month because you need that money to actually pay your bills, you start to ring the register and you start to really respect the fact that if a stock has gone up 200% in 5 days, or a stock has gone up $100 in 5 days, it's real money. That's real money. And you have to respect the fact that if one headline changes, especially like in the COVID vaccine headline, one headline changes, everything changes. And all of a sudden that stock that was $200 could be 125 in 2 days, in a heartbeat. It might trigger not alerts, breakers on the way down, but it can happen. I'm not saying not to trade these stocks. What I am saying is know the time frame that you're in. And we discussed this yesterday morning very clearly when we were talking about Moderna. We weighed all of the arguments for being in it, not being in it, how long you should hold it. And it was another huge move up yesterday. And we said, respect it and have a trailing stop loss, knowing what your profit is, knowing how much you want to pull out of that trade if you happen to be long from lower levels. And the stock got crushed yesterday. We'll take a look at it. I wasn't guessing. It's probability of what's likely going to happen. It's respecting the fact that you're trading a headline that could change on a tweet like that. It could change on a headline like that. And booking money like it's real money. So, it's not, we're not playing Monopoly here. If you really want to be a trader and see your account go like this every single month, at some point you have to learn, I'm going to book some of these profits and I could always get back in because this is a ridiculous move to the upside that I did the right thing. I capitalized on it and took advantage of it and took some of that money home and put it in your pocket. And again, this all needs to be in the context of what type of trader you are. I'm looking for cash flow every month. I'm looking for 5 days, 3 days, 2 days, 10 days, ring the register and go do it again. I want my money constantly working for me and looking for the next opportunity. which brings us to today, which is Pfizer and BioNTech COVID vaccine wins approval in the first country as the UK prepares for rollout next week. So now Pfizer's up today. So what do? There's Moderna, there's Pfizer, there's BNTX. What do you do? I am actively day trading these stocks. I'm not looking personally to hold them overnight. If you want to trade them, less shares, and less shares is relative. For somebody, it could be 100. For somebody else, less shares could be 5,000. The smarter thing to do here is to work the orders as it moves in your favor, but 100% respecting the downside. There's plenty of opportunity right now. There's so much opportunity. All I'm asking you to do is be smart and respect that downside, because you get a day like yesterday. Now Moderna's up again today. It's all over the place. It's all over the place because the headlines are all over the place. The efficacy of it's all over the place. But it doesn't matter what channel you're watching. Amazing opportunity. Consider this kind of like a public service announcement that you should be paying attention to these if you're an active trader. You absolutely need to know what time frame you're trading and intending to hold the trade. But above all, respect risk on these headline-driven trades. And you should be okay as long as you flawlessly execute where you want to book profits and where you're going to say uncle and get out of the trade. Hopefully you're trailing a profit like a couple of people did yesterday in the boot camp, booked it, and now looking for the next trade. Maybe that might be in Pfizer today. We'll take a look at the headlines. So we're going to take a look. Obviously, the market hit new highs yesterday, new all-time highs, very exciting. But here's the headline for Pfizer. So if we take a look and jump straight over into what we talked about with Moderna yesterday, you can see that giant candle. That is almost $50. Now, it's up a little bit again this morning, but that's a $50 reversal. That hurts. If you're long from down here and you're watching and you got 1,000 shares, that's a $50,000 reversal. Remember, if you're watching this, hopefully I can give you some ideas on what it actually takes to see your account go up every single month. And if you want to take it further, obviously join me in the boot camp for the next 30 days. But this is real money. It's real risk. It's real opportunity as well. You need to step up your game if you're going to play in this playpen, because this is a playpen for the pros, and you need to be on top of it. So today we're looking at Pfizer. And you can see it's actually up 3.5%. This one doesn't move the same way that Moderna is moving because, again, the headlines, interpreting the headlines, how fast does it move? You should be looking at them in a way that these stocks have attention, these stocks have volatility, and right now they're offering opportunity, which means that you need to know how to read the tape, you need to know how to define your risk, and you need to know how to set profit potential. If you are good at all three of those things, then this is trader's heaven because there's plenty of opportunity. One thing I do want to talk about yesterday, the other side of trading news. We had a few people yesterday asking about this stock, NKLA. It's a piece of garbage. There's no other way to put it. There's the headlines and the deal changing every other day. It's not something that, in my opinion, you could be in the stock on a daily basis and have conviction in your ideas, where you say, yep, buyers are definitely in charge of this thing. Buyers are definitely doing something in this thing. And I want to hop on, I want to piggyback what they're doing because it's so obvious. I just can't wait to get my piece. That's not the stock. If you're involved in this stock right now, after bearish gaps down and bearish gaps down, you're guessing. Stop guessing. Guessing is not trading. Go do that on a simulator. If you really want to talk about a serious trade, this is not a great idea to be looking at right now with the bearish news and the bearish price action. So again, some context on trading headlines and whether or not you want to catch a falling knife in a stock that's getting clobbered versus good news, having a structure for reading the tape and taking advantage of those stocks like we're talking about Moderna, Pfizer, and BNTX. CRM had earnings yesterday. Obviously, the big news with CRM and Work. We'll get into that headline. So you can see, obviously, Work trading up on the news. Typically, when one company's buying the other one, the buying company goes down, the buyee tends to go up. So you can see there's plenty of headlines right now on Salesforce under certain Slack will be required to pay. So really the bottom line is Slack and CRM in play right now. So CRM had earnings yesterday. What's the play? So right now, again, because of the earnings, you want to see if the earnings inspires a trade. CRM has been doing nothing since this last earnings report. It's basically a trading range from one quarter to the next. And now it's actually trading down at 231, which is at support. Very difficult to short sell support in a strong market. It's actually a wrong trade in a strong market because you want to be buying strong stocks in a strong market, and you just notice these stocks, but you don't look at it. So this is good news for the stock. It's short-term bad news. So does this mean this is support at 230 where it's been hovering since the last earnings report? Is this a spot to look to start buying this stock? I will be looking in this 230, 225 area to find support. Minimum criteria, I'll be looking for it to go well bid on the weekly chart, which means that we need 10 days of trading there. But if we open lower reverse and trade into what we call a U-turn. Now, U-turn typically trades back into yesterday's price action. That's not going to happen today. At least I don't think so. That's $10 away. That would be really exciting. But here's the thing. If you're a short-term trader, if you're an active trader like I am, like we are in the community, we're looking for stocks that have attention. We're looking for stocks that have obvious order flow. This stock does right now. It doesn't have obvious order flow, but it does have the market's attention. So despite the fact that we're not looking for longer term plays right now, until it proves itself, until it gives us feedback in the form of obvious order flow, we can still actively take cash flow out of this trades. And that means we'll be trading it on a much tighter window, which means we'll be day trading. SBE was a trade that we called out about a week and a half ago, right in this area over here on this black candle there. And now it's pulled back. So now these acquisition stocks have had a hard time trading the pullbacks, where you see it explode, come back, and you think you find a great opportunity. I am going to be looking to bid this stock on a lower opening today. It needs to meet certain criteria that we have in our order flow masterclass. If it does, I'll be looking for the stock to retrace back up to 42. We're getting a lot of questions, and deservedly so, about the EV stocks, the electric vehicle stocks. They were on fire prior to earnings. Earnings came out. They had a little bit of a spike, and now they're pulling back. You can see that NEO is down around 43. Pre-market, pretty interesting number. And XPEV have been the top two that we've been trading. We were talking yesterday about looking to bid for XPEV around 50. Looks like we're going to get it. Now, here's the question. Here's the $1 million question. How do you manage a strong stock that's going down right now without getting your head beat in, without saying you're picking a bottom? This is where we talk about the difference between getting in because you have this where it's obvious versus this where now it's pulling back against a stronger trend. This is what we call in the prop trading world, in the professional trading world, as a good idea that you need to work the order. Work the order means you go in with less share size on your initial trade. If it continues to move against you, after you get a confirmed entry signal, you start to work that order as it moves in your favor. If it continues against you and you have your defined risk, you're only losing money on a small piece. But it's a good idea that's pulling back, that now we need to work the order, because the daily chart in our vernacular and the way we talk about it in the boot camp is well offered. So that's a very important thing. It's interesting. Today we gave some lessons that I said use Post-it pads. That's another one too. Understand when to work your orders versus understanding when you can go in with a little bit bigger share size. So the EV stocks, XPEV and NEO, have pulled back a pretty decent amount. If you really put in today, it's almost $25 for XPEV. Pretty decent pullback, but work the order and look for feedback from the market. Let the market tell you when it's time to get back in. FANG actually meets similar criteria where it was very strong sector. And again, we called this last week. We said really good move, but it's coming up to an area where sellers did something significant last time. Now we're pulling back. Looks very similar to the chart we just showed you of NEO and XPEV. So we're looking for today to test yesterday's low to give us an entry signal to look to a new swing trade to get through and approach 50. The semiconductor stocks, we brought those up in a big way last week as well. Actually, earlier in the week, I'm losing track. I think it was Monday. Yeah, it wasn't last week. It was Monday. We're reading the tape. We're watching sector rotation. We're doing our job, paying attention to order flow. And all of a sudden, I sat up on my seat and I said, semiconductor stocks right now, they are in play the same way that we had solar stocks, the same way that we had electric vehicle stocks. Now they're in play. So let's start paying attention to them. Again, the epiphany, the crazy simple stuff that people into the boot camp are like, I don't understand. It's really that simple. It's that simple if you do the hard work. It's that simple if you pay attention. The trading part of it is easy. It's finding great ideas. You got to get in there and get that treasure hunt going. And now the semiconductor stocks. All right. So I'm going to rattle them off because you can pick out which ones that match your criteria. But we're going to talk about Micron. I'm just going to go through them. Teradyne, TSM, AMAT, AMAT's got a really good signal there. AMD, which we pointed out yesterday, gave us well bid right at that level, like that one, and ADI. Okay, so a lot of these technology stocks are all doing the same thing. And remember, we talk about starting at the top, where you're looking at the whole market and everything's on the same page, and you work your way down to the sector, you work your way down to the industry group for confirmation. Market's pulling back a little bit this morning. Industry group here is strong. We're seeing order flow. So now we're looking for signs of feedback from the market that says, okay, let's start dipping our toes in. Coles is another one that we've been watching for about 2 weeks now. Hopefully you started to get in on some of the lower levels where we were calling it out after earnings, and we got really good follow through. Now, what is the trade in Coles here? Because this is going to be the obvious one. Somebody's going to pull it up in a scanner today and say, I'm chasing this stock low. Well, that's exactly what you're doing. You're chasing it. It's after the good move. So now you have a choice. Do you enter using day trading signals, or do you wait for the stock to pause, pull back, maybe even fill this gap, and then look for a better spot to get long? The odds of follow through here after multiple bullish gaps like this, after earnings, the odds of follow through are a little bit lower right now. And then you obviously have to go out. I'm bringing this up because I know it's going to get brought up. The reward potential here, it looks like the next level is around 44 to 48. So with this giant move that it's just had, bullish gap, bullish gap, bullish gap, bullish gap, that's amazing, especially heading into earnings. We got past this $29. So do you enter today? The conservative entry today is above yesterday's high, and yesterday's low would be the stop loss, ultimately looking for 44 to 48 being the next target. Space is an interesting one. It's interesting because we called it out last week, maybe even about 10 days ago. And we said, it's got to get through 28.50, got to get through 28.50 for something meaningful. Now it's pausing at 28.50. So this should be in your radar today as something to look to begin building a position up to those higher levels right around 40. USFD, another one that is now approaching a push, a pause, and a really good spot to manage risk with some profit potential there as well. I want to mention Workhorse because the Postal Service again delayed the contract. And again, this is very, very similar to what I started out today and yesterday talking about trading headline news versus reading the tape and the order flow. You are no longer just trading the order flow if you are trading headline news. You are trading a completely different catalyst for being in that trade. And this is the downside of the headline changing. The stock is down 24.61% this morning. You've got to take the risk with the reward. And if you're going to tackle these kind of trades, you have to be aware that the potential downside is here. I'm not saying not to trade headlines if you feel like you can interpret those headlines and know what that means going forward. Beatrice in our community, Andrew in our community, they're very good at reading these type of things and putting two and two together, which is amazing. But what I want to point out here is that just reading the order flow versus reading the headlines and what that means for that stock in the future, that might be way in the future, but if you're tape reading and trading short term, 25% is a big move against you this morning. Last one I want to finish up with is Match.com. Actually, I know I sound like Match.com. Trading at or near, pretty sure all-time highs, right? So that's pretty interesting where the stock goes well bid, breaks out of a range, which was stuck between 132 and 136 and now trading into all-time highs. This is going to be on my list today too, to start building position if it goes well bid today as well. So the COVID vaccine news remains in the headline. It's creating amazing opportunities for us as short-term traders. An amazing lesson yesterday about respecting risk, and just as importantly, respecting those profits that were dropped on the table if you happen to be long Moderna from lower levels. It's an amazing story, but what we just saw in Workhorse, remember that downside, you got to respect the other side of that. So if you're going to actively be trading these stocks that are headline driven, you need to be respecting risk and have your stop loss in there. If you have any questions, I know it's a little bit longer today, but there's a lot going on. It's exciting right now to be trading a little bit longer than we normally do, but hopefully you got a lot of value out of this. If you get some value, absolutely subscribe to the channel. That would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions, click down and let me know below the video. And if you want to join me for the next 30 days, click down and learn about the bootcamp. We just have an amazing community. I think you'll find terrific value of being a part of what we do every day. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching today.